Afternoon and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care and Santa Clarita Hearing Center. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio. Whoops.
On your hometown station,
Yes,
AM
yes, yes.
1220 and FM 98.1 KHTS.
And I forgot to mention that we are sponsored by Providence Holy Cross Medical Center and Hestia Med Spa and
Ah,
Comfort Keepers. I'm getting all screwed up this afternoon, aren't I? Oh well.
oh well, but maybe it means something. We'll see how the rest of the show goes.
Okie dokie pokey. Well, anyway, this is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And speaking of quality of life, our one and only Dr. Thomas Palucki, a local chiropractor, is joining us. Hi, it's good to see you again.
Hi, Barbara. Hi,
Welcome,
Dr. Jean. How
Thomas.
are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. All things
Good.
considered, we just got back from a weekend up in Cambria. Gorgeous.
Ah, yes.
We'll love it up there. But today, I'd like to talk to you both about, I believe, a relevant issue for this audience, balance.
Oh, good heavens. Balance.
Yeah, it's a little scary when you look at the numbers. And granted, my numbers are a little old. Most of the statistics have been on delay because of the pandemic for the past 2 years. But I don't imagine that these numbers have gotten any better in the past few years. 1 in 4 seniors falls significantly every year, but only half of them wind up reporting it to their doctor. And here's the scariest part. Regardless of whether they feel they're seriously hurt or not, the incidence of falling a second time and then seriously hurting yourself doubles with every fall. So it's kind of a scary situation. One of the biggest fears that seniors have is isolation and loss of freedom, and falling is the number one cause of hip fracture and the number one cause of mild traumatic brain injury, what we call a concussion or a skull fracture in this population. And so it can be serious and significant and actually life-threatening if that person is already on blood thinners, because any fall then has the potential of a life and death situation for that individual. So I'd like to spend today about talking about possibly reducing the risks of falling, and what we can do, what people can do at home. Because one of the points I want to make is that this is a pretty hot trending topic online for those seniors who do have been able to adapt and adopt the interweb technology, getting in front of a computer and getting online. So there's, it's a big topic whenever you search something and it doesn't show 1,300,000,000 hits. It doesn't show any. So like when you're hitting something that is very, very, very sought after, a very high trending topic, when they don't give any stats whatsoever. So in preparing for today's show, when I looked up balance, and specifically balance exercises, I was, balance comes up in the over 1 billion search engine searches. So I want to make clear of what I was just talking about. When you go online and you look for something, right under what you type in the search engine, when it comes up on that page, it will show you how many other people have looked for exactly those words online. And some things it's a couple hundred million here or there. But I like to only talk about issues that are a billion or more searches have happened on. So when I look at balance in general, it's about a billion and a half searches on balance. But when you go to balance exercises, those statistics disappear. So that tells me that there are a lot of people constantly looking for information on balance exercises. Now, here's the scary part. When we talk as a physician, when I talk about balance exercises, it is always in a supervised environment. Either me personally, in my office, I'm the only one that treats my patients. So it's either me personally working with that individual one-on-one to rehabilitate their balance, or in other settings, there are either physician's assistants or physical therapists or someone there who can minimally catch the person if they do, in fact, lose their balance during the balance training. None of that is there when you go online and you search for these balance exercises and you attempt to do them just, either watching your computer or looking at your phone and trying to attempt these exercises, which are designed specifically to challenge your balance. And if someone already has a balance issue, and we're going to get into that in a little bit more detail in just a moment, it could be a life and death event. It could be a very serious situation very quickly. So that's my concern about just going online and trying to self-treat. We do have, in my office, we do have telehealth options. But I take a lot of precautions, especially in something like balance rehabilitation. I never attempt to do that without somebody there next to the person, ready to catch them if they attempt any kind of either a balance test or a balance exercise on their own. It's insane to do that. So that's the big thing I want to put out there. If you are searching for balance exercises online, do not attempt them by yourself.
Wow. Well, I know I have a balance problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm well aware of it, and I'm very careful. And I haven't fallen in ages. And my son put up bars as I go into my front door because I have to go up steps.
Mm-hmm.
And I can hold on to the bars to get up the first step and hold on to the second bar on the other side to get up the third step.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a tremendous help.
Sure. The CDC actually has a great page on things you can do around the house to minimize the risk of falls. I forget the exact address, but just if you go to the CDC and you type in fall prevention or anything like that, it will bring up this page of this whole list of things that you can look for around the house to make sure. And yes, handles are a big one.
They really are. And
Grab bars.
one of the things that I sometimes do, I'll think of something on the spur of the moment and bounce up out of the chair and think, oh, whoa, slow down, Barbara.
Yeah.
Or walk fast along the hallway and find myself bumping into the wall.
Right.
And if I have to get up in the middle of the night for something, when I'm in bed, I've learned to put my legs over the edge of the bed and shake them a couple of minutes, a few times, which scares my kitty cat to death, and she runs. And then I hold on to my side table and then another dresser, and then go into the bathroom or go out to the hallway. And I know well enough that if I get up too fast, I'm going to fall.
Yeah, that there's so many very just gems of information in what you said. You don't even realize it because you do it, but there's like 5 different safety points that you just threw into that monologue.
Really?
So yeah, one of the most important things is especially in the senior population, and especially any senior on any kind of medication. So medications are a big issue for balance, and when you're on multiple medications, especially the most common medications that most seniors are on, it can really mess with your balance, especially when you rapidly change positions. So that one, you said when you get up, you wait a minute. Critically important.
Hmm.
Give your brain a chance to get reoriented, especially in the dark.
Oh, yes.
Especially when you can't really see your surroundings so well. You have to heavily rely on feedback from your feet, which may have some neuropathy, may not be feeling the way that you used to when you were younger, may have some arthritis, so or may have some plantar fasciitis. So when you take that first step, it may be painful, and that pain may be enough to throw you off balance. And in the dark, again, you out in the dark, changing position so the blood flow to your brain could be altered, and then you take a step that is uncomfortable or unfamiliar, or you're not getting the feedback from your feet the way that you're used to. It's a perfect formula for taking a nasty fall. So you get up. That's step one. You take a moment to let the blood start circulating in your brain properly. And by kicking your feet, that's even better. It improves the circulation both in your brain, but also in your lower extremities. So, one of the key issues of balance is as we get older, we tend to lose feedback from the sensors in our feet. And we also simultaneously, unless someone is on a very good um, health program, and we're going to hopefully get to that in a moment, um, they start to lose lower extremity strength, strength in their legs. So unless you're walking every day and make it a point to walk for at least half an hour every day. And I understand some seniors can't. Some seniors can't do this. But every senior should have 30 minutes of moderate exercise a day. And this isn't just my opinion. This is the standard recommendation
Yes.
that unfortunately 80% of people don't meet the criteria for getting enough exercise. Only 20% of people are getting the bare minimum that is required to have your body function normally. That's disturbing. So even wheelchair-bound people can get 30 minutes of moderate exercise. So there's really no excuses. It's just that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know. Nobody talks about it. It's not even on programs that are designed for seniors. There's no public service announcements. There's no hiding this message within the script of one of these shows like they do for products and drug commercials inside of
Yes.
the script of what you're watching. All of a sudden this person is doing a commercial for a product or something. Not too obvious, but it works. I mean, they spend a lot of money doing that. Why not do something that's actually important, like have your favorite character have an issue with a fall, and they have to deal with those consequences, and they have to learn how to change position safely. They have to
Hmm.
get rails around the house. Do they think that the American population is just so prejudiced that this is a turnoff to see this kind of thing on TV? But they'd much rather spend the money on placing products in there and getting
Hmm.
their endorsements in.
That's right.
Well, it's interesting because when Russ was having problems we had bars put into the shower.
Yeah, that's a
But
Mhm.
he had to sit down in the shower.
sure.
And
I'd like to sit down in the shower. I
Well,
want
I do now because I have a walk-in tub.
Right, I love
And
that.
he could not shower properly because he'd have to get up out of the chair, turn the water,
Sure.
do all those kinds of things. Either that or I would have to get in there with him.
Yeah.
And there just wasn't enough room.
That's a little too much information. Paul.
But he finally, as I've said before, he did buy me a walk-in tub for my
Yeah.
birthday several years ago.
I love
That's
those.
about 5 years ago
Yeah.
now. And he started using that walk-in tub,
Mm-hmm.
which was perfect because he
Cool.
just had a couple of inches
Mhm.
to step over to get in, and then the seat was there.
Yeah.
And everything is readily available
Mm-hmm.
to operate and adjust the water temperature and that kind of thing. And he was able to sit there, wash himself, or we had caretakers, they did it, and they were able to help him out and what have you. And that walk-in tub was an absolute lifesaver, and I love it.
Yeah.
I
Cool.
don't know what I would do without it because I can't stand getting into a shower and having to stand up.
Yeah.
The only time my shower gets used is when my daughter comes down every week and visits. And she's the one who uses the shower because I never use it.
Right.
But for some individuals, when they're getting into and out of the shower, that's where there's a high risk of having a fall.
Absolutely.
So you have to realize there are limitations. Not everybody has a walk-in. I know for myself, on occasion my newspaper will be thrown under the car, and so I have to get down and get a broom and yank it out. But sometimes I've realized that, well, at some point I realize, hey, I'm having trouble getting up. So, we'll talk about this later, but there are exercises one can do, and I do these exercises that have, just taken away all my problems. Now, when the paper's under the car, I just get the broom or I reach under there and get it out. But that's because I've been doing exercises to help thwart that and allow my quality of life to continue. So there are ways that we are talking about right now that will enhance our ability to have that quality of life, despite the fact that we're still having trouble with mobility and balance and even sustaining falls. So it's tough, but I think we'll get into some of these exercises, right, Tom, that you want to talk about that these seniors have to undergo and put time into it, like you were saying before.
Yes, and I think we need to take a break right now and come back in a few minutes and continue this very interesting conversation. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Doreo, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS.
Healthcare can be difficult if you're underinsured or have Medi-Cal. Samuel Dixon Family Health Center can help. Services are available on a sliding fee schedule. The mission of the Samuel Dixon Family Health Center is to give the Santa Clarita Valley access to affordable, quality primary care. There are 3 locations to serve you: Canyon Country, Newhall, and Valverde. Go to sdfhc.org for more information and to find the location most convenient for you.
It's great to be in Santa Clarita. This is Charlie Kirk inviting you to join me every weekday from 4 till 7. We'll be exploring the latest craziness in the news with my humorous, enlightening perspective. It's a fun, entertaining, and illuminating 3 hours. So let's stay informed together as we free thinkers unite weekdays from 4 to 7 on Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM.
Olive Terrace Bar and Grill is the hottest new Mediterranean fusion restaurant in Santa Clarita with unique delicacies like seafood right off the boat, mouth-watering prime steaks, artesian sandwiches, delicious pastas, and tasty kebabs. Unwind on their cozy outdoor patio at their weekend champagne brunch, full menu, and weekly specials at oliveterracebarandgrill.com. Check out their full bar and happy hour daily specials in Valencia on Copper Hill and Newhall Ranch Road by LA Fitness. Olive Terrace Bar and Grill, delicious food seasoned with love.
Want to laugh at TMJ and that obscenely overpriced bike guard? Discover the 3 most common mistakes that must change to stop TMJ for good. Hi, I'm Dr. Thomas Pilecki, and WebMD chooses me as best chiropractor in functional medicine in Santa Clarita. Something to think about. So, when you're ready to get better, go to drpilecki.com. That's drpolucki.com to schedule your free consultation now.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS. And we're speaking with Dr. Thomas Pilecki, and we're talking about balance, especially for seniors. So let's continue. Now you're down a little bit lower, and I don't feel so overwhelmed.
I feel so short. So we started getting into reducing the risk of falls. Falls are very serious. They can be a life-threatening problem for seniors. It's very common. 1 in 4 people will fall. 1 in 4 seniors will fall over the course of a year, and only half of those get reported to their doctors. 1 in 5 of those falls are serious enough that they're either going to fracture their hip or hit their head bad enough. And if that person is already on blood thinners, which is a very common medication for seniors, it can literally be a life-threatening incident. There's 800,000 extended hospital stays around falls, and in 2015, falls cost the Medicare system over $37 billion with a B, $37 billion. So this is a very real and relevant fear for seniors. The number one fear of seniors is losing their independence. Losing their financial stability, their ability to live on their own, winding up in a care facility. These are the fears that most seniors very rightfully face, and falls are the number one reason that people wind up in these situations. So that's why I want to talk about reducing your risks of falls. So there's a very short list of things that you can do to minimize your risks of falls. I touched on it in the first segment, but I assume that nobody was listening, so I'm gonna go again. So one is, as we get older, we lose strength in our legs and we lose sensation in our feet. Those are 2 very serious issues that 30 minutes of walking a day can handle. And the second thing is being on several different kinds of medications simultaneously.
Well, other than walking, you can also get on one of those bikes and pedal.
Yes, it's not the same thing. I'm going to tell you why. I'm not a fan of the bikes. I am a fan of exercise. Any form of exercise is better than no exercise, but I like walking so much better. One, not everybody can afford a bike. Not everybody has access to a bike. Not everybody's going to have a bike. So right there, it is disqualified from my list of recommended exercises. Number 2, I'm not saying you can't get exercise from a bike. You absolutely can. And some of the most insane exercise programs out there, that whole Peloton thing, is a very good cardio workout. However, it's not the way our body was built. We're not made to sit and move our legs in like a locomotion fashion. That's not
true,
the way.
But you can also do hand and arm exercises.
Yeah, I understand. But what I'm saying is that our sitting on our bottom and then moving our legs in that very linear mechanical way is not what we're made for. In fact, one of my biggest exercise tips is sit as little as possible. A Surgeon General for the Obama administration did extensive research on this, and he is the one that is quoted with saying that sitting is the new smoking. Sitting kills more people than cigarettes ever did, and we're sitting way more than we were ever designed for. Before the people who still had to go to work every day, before that was a thing where you sat in front of at your desk on the telephone in front of a computer all day long, people would only basically sit when they got tired. You sit down after you're too tired to walk anymore or to stand anymore. But for, I don't know, let's say the last 50 years, give or take, people have been sitting more and more and more and more. And we see a steady, as the more people see it, the more serious health conditions they have because of it. And then, again, this is not my opinion. Pretty much unlimited resources went into looking at what can people do to stay healthier longer and try and turn around this out of control expense of the American healthcare system. And one of the big things was don't sit so much. So when I see exercises that are focused on sitting, I'm not a fan. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure.
I want to get people up. If I understand that if you're in a wheelchair, please don't get offended by what I'm saying. I mean, that's not your fault. But if you're choosing to sit and thinking that, that's as good as doing some other exercise, it's not. In fact, walking is probably one of the best, easiest, most accepted forms of exercise there is. We're made to walk. We can walk. Human beings can actually outwalk most animals, and that is one of the few areas that we excel in when we compare ourselves to other animals. So walking is not necessarily the greatest form of exercise. You're not going to turn into a swimsuit model by walking around the block, but it is powerful medicine. It resets so many things, so many critically important things in our body. It's what we're made for, and unfortunately, most things in this society, especially living in the Southern California, Los Angeles area, it's almost like it's frowned upon to walk somewhere. You drive your car across the street. You rarely see people walking around anywhere unless they're just going from their car to either their work or to a store or something like that. But in other cities, even here in California, in San Francisco, you see a lot of people walking. You don't necessarily in LA.
Well, it's interesting because I have a lot of hills where I live, and it's I mean, I know I've been walking when I've walked around my long blocks because where I live right now, it's the first block is flat. Then it starts going uphill and uphill and uphill, and then it's going up toward Target on top of the hill on the other side of the 14. And then it turns around, and then it goes down a little bit, then it goes up another hill, and then back down. So when I go out and walk, I get a good walk.
That's awesome.
Going through all those streets, because most of them are uphill.
Yeah, it's incredibly good for you on so many reasons, so many different levels. But the big advantage that we do have here in Southern California is that not only when you're outside and walking, because we do have, let's just say, 9 months of spring here. There's several weeks in the summer where it's too hot unless you get out very early in the morning, which is what I recommend. And just a few weeks in the winter when it's either too cold, wet, or rainy. But pretty much the rest of the year, it's ideal.
Yes,
It's
it
ideal
is.
to be outside and walking around. And unfortunately, with such a great set of circumstances, I see far too many people out on the trails, out on the sidewalks. I love the trails that we have available. We're surrounded by mountains, and every chance that I have, I'm up there finding a new trail. And it's disturbing on how few people you see up there. I know seniors aren't necessarily going to be wanting to walk up mountains,
No.
but there are a lot of flat nature trails. In Placerita Canyon, you can walk around for miles without going up a hill. And in all around this area, you don't have to be crazy like me and climb these mountains, but there's so much available so much of the year to be outside, because believe it or not, one of the big things about balance, and I'm not even sure how this works, but it is on the CD site, is vitamin D. Now, I imagine that the correlation is because if someone falls and their bone health isn't that great, they're going to have a problem, a more serious problem that could be life-threatening. And that's why vitamin D makes the list. And I was so happy to see you brought my product in here today. We didn't talk in advance about what the show was going to
No,
be
we didn't.
because you ran out and you need more.
Yes.
But a lot for the past, I don't know, 40, 50 years, we've been told by everybody in the healthcare field and the media promoting certain areas of the healthcare field that the sun is going to kill you. The sun, the sun. We should all stay out of the sun at all costs. And instead, if you do have to go out in the sun, make sure that you cover yourself in known cancer-causing chemicals
Absolutely.
that are going to give you skin cancer long
yes.
before the sun ever could. And that's been my pet peeve ever since I heard that song, whatever it was 30 years ago, remember to wear your sunblock. I'm like, wait, how crazy is that? It's the worst invention ever made. Now, if you're stuck out in the sun, if you work out in the sun, yeah, cover up. That's
Absolutely.
smart. Wear a hat. If you're going to have to be out in this strong sun for a prolonged period of times, yeah. But I see people literally covered head to toe with an umbrella, and I can smell the sunblock on them. I'm like, oh, poor kid. Seriously, I mean, unless you are literally a vampire, I think you're overdoing it a little bit.
Well, I like your vitamin D because it's liquid
Yeah.
and it's so much easier and quicker. My body absorbs it.
Absolutely. So this stuff you could literally put on your skin because it is bioidentical vitamin D. It is exactly the molecule that your body makes when it does. And here's what people don't know about vitamin D. They think that the sunshine makes vitamin D and somehow that magically happens inside of your body. However, it doesn't. When your sun is exposed to vitamin D, when your skin is exposed to sunlight, your body excretes vitamin D out onto your skin, and then it can take 24 to 48 hours for your body to reabsorb that vitamin D back into your body.
Well, you're saying
So
this
if you
can be used on your skin
Sure.
also?
Yes, because this is exactly what your body makes. You can
Oh.
put that right on your skin, and it's micronized and micellized, and all the
What does
catchphrase.
micellized mean?
Micellized means that it's suspended in a fat molecule, just the way that vitamin D is. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, which means that it's not water-soluble. And so it will reabsorb back in through your skin and then work its way into your system. And this follows the exact same pattern. So when somebody says, oh yeah, I take 5,000 units in a pill, and I'm like, well, it could work, but what's your blood work say? Well, they're having a problem getting my levels up, so now the doctor wants to give me a shot of 50,000 units a month instead. And I hear this way too often. I'm like, well, that sounds like a pretty fast load on the liver, because that's what you have to worry about with fat-soluble vitamins. Even something as good as vitamin D, you don't necessarily want to get 5,000 units injected into your bloodstream right away, because that's really not the way it works. But a couple of micrograms from being out in the sun for 20 minutes is exactly how your body works with vitamin D.
Well,
but so many people are so scared of even looking at the sun anymore.
Well, this is liquid vitamin D,
Uh-huh.
and you say take a dropper full and put it under your tongue.
Yeah, but so I am not the kind of doctor that gives shots. I chose a long time ago. I could have been that kind of doctor, but I didn't want to. So when you have something that you want to introduce almost as effectively as giving someone a shot, but you don't want to inject somebody, the best place to put it is under your tongue. Certain things are going to be absorbed under your tongue and certain things aren't. But certainly something that is highly absorbable, like bioidentical vitamin D, which is actually probably not so much a vitamin as it is a hormone. It's more closely related to the things we call hormones than it is to the things we call vitamins. But any bioidentical that I use is sublingual, and there's good reason for that. Mostly because as we get older, and people who are having issues with digestion in the first place, as most people do one way or another, the ability to introduce any kind of medicine or supplement or vitamin or anything like that decreases, because our body's ability to use the digestive tract for those things is not really designed to take that kind of a load in, such a big amount in such a concentrated form. It's really not made to do that. And secondly, as we get older, and some people even before they get older, they have a lot of issues with digestion that don't make it such a great delivery system. And that's why we prefer, especially with all of our bioidenticals, and I consider vitamin D one of our bioidentical hormones, to introduce it under the tongue, because it's nearly as good as injecting it.
Well, it tastes good too.
Yeah.
It really does. Well, I think every one of your vitamins that you have at your shop, I have at home.
Yeah, they are.
I use them all.
Thank you. They really are top shelf. I have done a lot of work. A lot of people don't necessarily go for postgraduate certifications, but people need to understand that all doctors, regardless of what kind of doctor, whether you go to Johns Hopkins or Harvard Medical School or some chiropractic school or some naturopath school or some dental school, all doctors have a very small amount of information on nutrition, because you have to learn so much in such a short period of time. You basically have to learn everything in 4 years when you're at med school, or any variation of that. So they can't really spend a whole lot of time on nutrition. Now, I think it's critically important. So I spent as much time in postgraduate work learning about nutrition as a doctor does in medical school. So,
Wow. Well, Jean, do your patients, are you on them all the time to make sure they take their medications and that kind of thing?
Oh, absolutely. It plays a huge role, and it was alluded to by Thomas earlier about how medications play a role in fall. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, there are side effects to many of these drugs that people take, but they have to take them. But they have to be aware that when they stand up, blood runs south. And when it goes down away from the brain, you can get dizzy, lightheaded, and fall. So, I emphasize being compliant with medication. But, these days, I am doing house calls. I go to a patient's house for the first time, and I see a list and a list and a list of all these medications on their counter that they're taking. And, I think there's over-medication in our society right now, but you have to be very particular in how you might taper some of them or assure that they are doing their job. So not an easy task, but vitamin D is definitely one that my patients will take to enhance their bone strength, and maybe if they do fall, they won't fracture those bones. So these are things that we have to be thinking about to keep our patients out of the hospital, to keep them off the floor, to be able to step into their bathtub and step out of their bathtub. They have to be able to do these things to live in their home and not go to a nursing home. So yeah, Barbara, it's critical that we're compliant and that we have our patients be compliant with their medical care and follow what their doctors are saying. But a lot of patients don't. Thomas, what would you say? We already know the stat. Was it about a quarter or a third aren't compliant already? We know with their medication regimen. So it gets to be tough, assuring that they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, medicine is not what it used to be, and I don't mean to throw any stones in any direction. It's such a complicated subject anymore. The system is critically overwhelmed. The education is heavily biased towards pharmacology, so much so that it's a challenge for a doctor to talk about anything other than that with their patient, unless they're a specialist, unless they're a surgeon, or unless they're some kind of advanced physical therapy modality, like mild traumatic brain injury. I work with some of these specialists and have adopted some of their testing procedures, especially when it comes to balance and coordination. Tests that these doctors charge an obscene amount of money for that's never covered by Medicare. We do it in our screening process with all of our patients, just because it's important. It's important to know whether we're dealing with an issue that is balance and coordination and alignment issues. It's critically important, because these are the things when you look online and they don't even list how many times someone is looking for this particular piece of information, you know that it's important. And that's how one of the things that I always try to bring to this show. Before I come to the show, I look at, okay, what am I going to talk about today? And when I see balance exercises are literally unnumbered, that means that people are looking very hard and very intensely at this thing. And it scares me a little bit, because people think that they can get their answers by looking at something on the computer, and it just doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't.
No.
And we
You're
need
right.
to take a short break, and we'll be back in a few moments. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Doreo, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS.
No doubt about it, LA is an awesome place to live. But even while living in the land of beaches and mountains, it's safe to say that we could all use a real vacation right about now. One where you don't have to stop for gas, cook your own meals, or strip your own sheets. Lucky for us, Princess Cruises has a port right here in LA. Now, for a limited time, LA residents can sail with Princess from just $89 per day to the beaches of Mexico, the tropics of Hawaii, or cruise along the California coast without getting stuck in traffic. That's right, just $89 per day. And while these great destinations aren't going anywhere, these deals won't be around forever. So visit princess.com, call 1-800-PRINCESS, or contact your travel advisor to book your cruise today. Set sail with LA's cruise line, Princess Cruises. Terms and restrictions apply. Promotional pricing ends November 30th, 2021. Ships are Bermudan and British registry. Before booking, consult the CDC website at www.cdc.gov.
It's time to experience a pain relief, wellness, and anti-aging treatment unlike any other. It's time to check out Mend Cryotherapy. Relieve chronic joint and muscle pain, diminish soreness and inflammation, alleviate stress-related symptoms, boost immune system performance, and improve sleep and recovery times. Mend Cryotherapy is open Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Go to Mend, M-E-N-D, cryotherapy.com on Newhall Ranch Road in the Gateway Shopping Center.
Aloha, friends! Go check out Honu Coffee, home of the best cold brew coffee. What makes their coffee special is how their organic coffee beans are infused with nitrogen to create a smooth and delicious cup of coffee. You'll also find traditional bold coffees and island-inspired signature drinks. They're the perfect place to catch up with friends or just relax with your favorite cup of joe. Honu Coffee on Lyons and Walnut in Newhall. Stop by and say aloha.
And now for your convenience, a second Honu location at 23502 Lyons Avenue between Peachland and Apple.
If you're in need of physical therapy, check out Focus Physical Therapy. Owner and therapist Adam Laraway has the latest in cutting-edge technology, introducing the Newbie, the ultimate in neuromuscular re-education. The Newbie can help you heal up to 70% faster and was FDA cleared in September 2017. The Newbie uses pulse direct current, which mimics the same neurological signals the brain uses and allows the therapist to identify those signals with 100% accuracy. Newbie can even help improve your sleep while tackling issues with neck, knee, and shoulder pain, sciatica, and arthritis. It can accelerate your fitness progress, which means better results in less sessions. Get stronger quicker. Why not use the same technology that the Dodgers and the LA Clippers use? Focus PT, located on Peachland off Lyons in Newhall. Call 255-4205. Go online at focusphysicaltherapyscv.com.
We salute our veterans who sacrifice for our freedom. Every week, we share an inspirational story of a local veteran on our Hometown Heroes page at hometownstation.com. Thanks to our good friends at Eternal Valley.
I'm Richard Nunnally, General Manager of Eternal Valley Memorial Park and Mortuary. We believe taking care of each other is what community is all about. We're proud to bring you the stories of our hometown heroes.
Eternal Valley, life well celebrated.
Visit hometownstation.com, sponsored by Eternal Valley.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. And we have just a few minutes, Dr. Palucki, but let's finish up, shall we? What's most important?
Yeah, well, one of the most important things is balance in a senior's life, because the fears are their lack of being able to be independent, their lack of having financial stability, and literally within a few seconds, all of that can go away. Falls are the number one leading cause for hip fracture. 95% of hip fractures and the leading cause of mild traumatic brain injury happen with a fall. It's usually in the bathroom, it's usually in the middle of the night, and it is a very serious issue, especially if the person is on any kind of a blood thinner, which is a pretty common medication for most seniors. They may not survive the night in that kind of a situation. So my whole thing is avoid the fall in the first place instead of trying to deal with it after the fact. I have a whole list of things. They will be posted on the KHTS website. In my article, I write for KHTS. Just look me up, Dr. Palucki's articles, and we will have a detailed list of what I talk about with balance. You can come in for a complimentary consultation to see if there's anything we can do to help you. My phone number is 661-753-9340.
Dr. Thomas Pilecki, always great having you. Preventive medicine is the key. Thank you so much for being on our show today. We are sponsored by Comfort Keepers In-Home Care, Providence Holy Cross Medical Center, and Hestia Med Spa. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour.